Airbnb just made two huge changes to its app. They launched services and experiences. While both of them have some pros and cons and controversies about them, we talked with an expert in this exact subject today on how hosts can benefit from it if it's there, and what to do if you don't want services in your property. Stay tuned to the end to see where Airbnb may take this and how you actually can set up your own benefit from it. Let's get into the show. Running short-term rentals is constant work. Guest in, guest out, and you're still expected to be your own bookkeeper? I had multiple listings going and no real way to manage the money that was coming in. Between flipping beds and trying to match receipts from a payment a month ago, I couldn't even know if I was making real money. That's when I found BaseLane. It's the official banking platform of BiggerPockets, and it handles all of the tracking and reporting I used to do manually. Now I can see real-time financial reports for each listing and know if there's a problem that's arising. For example, last month I had a 300% spike in my electric at one of my properties, and I realized that I needed to do something. I quickly set up a smart thermostat inside of it, and my electricity bill was cut almost in half. Thanks to things like BaseLane, I avoided losing my profits and actually getting them back in my pocket. Start protecting your profits today by signing up at baselane.com/BP, and you'll get your $100 bonus right when you sign up. Hey everyone, welcome back to BiggerStays. My name is Garrett Brown. I am the BiggerPockets short-term rental expert. Today we again have on Mark Simpson from Boostly talking Airbnb services and everything under the sun there. Mark, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. Yeah, I really enjoyed the last one, and I thought like now with Airbnb services dropping, it was important to jump back on and just explain a few things because there's a lot of confusion that I can see in the forums and whatnot.
Let's just start from the jump. What is Airbnb services and experience? Like, what is this big change that happened?
Experiences is something that's been already. They've figured out what worked, what didn't work. They sort of took it down just after COVID and then they sort of brought it back. And that's totally separate. That is what I believe will be a success for them. And they just announced that a couple of weeks back with the summer update. Releasing the summer update and re-releasing experiences, they dropped a couple of other things as well. And the big thing that we're going to talk about is services. It's a brand new category. It's what they believe is going to be $1 billion revenue generator for them eventually. But there's some really, really important things that I think every host has to sort of get on board and take on board with the knowledge and then make a decision on the back of it. Because I truly believe now Airbnb have drawn that line in the sand of who they truly are helping. And I really don't think it's professional hosts. I don't believe it's professional operators. I feel they're just now looking after the hobbyist hosts. And that's basically where they're putting all their attention to. And that's why I think really important for everybody who tunes into this and has been in the Airbnb game for a while, they need to truly know what services is and how it can impact them.
In the areas I actually do my short-term rentals in, services isn't available yet. It's not available everywhere, but it's available in quite a few places. And, you know, there's private chefs. What are some of the other ones on there? I wasn't even sure.
Yeah, so you've got fitness trainers, you've got meal prep, you have hairdressers, you've obviously got private chefs, you've got an array. And what's really important to note is that this is available in 260 cities around the world. They are going to be launching it out more, but it's just a case of getting the inventory, which is obviously what we can talk about. But anybody now can go onto the desktop or go onto the app. What I find that's really interesting for me is that as soon as I open the app, the default tab that Airbnb opens on isn't homes, it's experiences. So it's obviously they're trying to push so many people to this. So I'm on the app right now, so you can look at it yourself. It says homes, experiences, services, and it really is very clear where they're sort of going. And there's definitely room for more icons on the top. You know, this is the start of what I feel could be. I mean, what's stopping them from adding in Airbnb travel? They could build their own version of Uber or, you know, something like that. There's quite a couple of options. There's more coming. They did say there's more coming, that they're testing it with this. But like you said, it's not available everywhere. You can go on the app and just search for New York or Los Angeles or London or wherever. And there are people to look at, which is really, really cool for hosts. And I'll explain why later, why that's cool.
This sounds to me like, you know, I'll play like
devil's advocate.
Yeah, you know, like this sounds like something that's really going to boost the guest experience and like really, you know, make guests feel like it's a luxury, you know, I don't want to say hotel because I hate comparing Airbnbs to hotels, but give you that full experience that Airbnb has been wanting to deliver. So what's the counter to that? Like, why is this not going to help the host's experience?
On paper, it sounds fantastic where your guests can bring in an extra part of the stay. and make that guest experience, that sort of that journey from booking all the way to checkout as being as best as possible on paper. But what a lot of people don't realize is that this benefits the guest, this benefits Airbnb. In no way does it benefit the host, but it puts all the risk on them. So for example, if a guest is staying in your Airbnb and they book a service, so whether that's a private chef, personal trainer, you name it, whatever it is, photo shoot, which they can do, you don't get any of the money. So the way that it works is that a guest will book a service, and let's just say it's a photo shoot in your property, which is cool, right? You know, you've got very Instagrammable location. You can have a photographer come take pictures. Fantastic. Looks great. Sounds great. But the guest will pay the photographer, let's just say $300, and Airbnb take 20% commission from the photographer. You, as the host, get nothing, but you've got all the risk. Because now you've got to start thinking about liability. You've got to start thinking about insurance. What happens if that photographer comes, he trips, he falls, he breaks his leg, he smashes his cameras? Who's at fault, right? And this is where there's become such a dicey game. And this is why I think it's really important for hosts to really pay attention to this. And I'm going to show them exactly how to correctly opt out of this and all those things that we can dig into.
I think our partners at Steadily would instantly ask, you know, like, you're doing commercial photography, like, do they have the insurance for, and all these things that are going to be on your onus? The same as when somebody's working on your property. And that's, you know, it's always in the fine print of what Airbnb puts out, little things like this. And I dove into it a little bit and was kind of reading fully through it. They say it's covered under the host liability portion of air cover, and they have their own services and experience insurance side, which even Airbnb will tell you that you need your own personal insurance outside of air cover. And so if people don't want these type of things on their property because of these insurance risk, everything, and you pointed out the biggest thing of it all is you're getting actually no benefit and all of the downside for a lot of it. Should people opt out? Should they still just, you know, like, trust Airbnb on this, or what's your kind of thoughts with that?
My first thing to everybody is to get yourselves opted out of this until Airbnb, and this the only way that this will become beneficial if Airbnb turn around to the host and go, listen, we made a mistake. What we're going to do is for every booking that is on a service in your property, you will get a little bit of commission, whatever that may be, 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. That'll be fair. But the only way that they are going to listen is if you opt out. So my first bit of advice is to opt out. Now, the biggest sort of kickback that I've had to this, and I've been doing a couple of live videos, I've been doing a couple of blog posts, LinkedIn articles about this. The first thing that comes into the comment is saying, well, won't they penalize my Airbnb listing on the algorithm if I opt out of services? And this has been confirmed by a number of people to say no. There's actually in the help article, it's a totally separate part of search, and no, they won't penalize you in the search algorithm. So you don't have anything to worry about that. So yes, you do need to opt out, but the really cool thing is to opt out is so easy. Unfortunately, there isn't a toggle button in your extranet, the back end of Airbnb just yet. I think that will come. But right now, all you have to do is call up your Airbnb support rep, just explain that you don't want to be part of the services and just ask to be opt out. And then just to double confirm, send a message, you know, paper trail, just to say, you know, I want to opt out of anything related to Airbnb services. I've even gone and put together a bit of legal print that you can put on your own listing. If you want to get a copy of that, again, just reach out to me on Instagram, Boostly UK. Again, just to triple cover your back. In the house rules section of your Airbnb listing, it's super simple. Underneath all your other little bits that you have in there, add a little disclaimer to say that you are not part of the Airbnb services program.
I think it's a great point, and I personally think Airbnb is going to have to shift that model too, and I think they will. I feel like there's going to be too much pushback or opt-out. The opt-out rate will be extremely high, and you know, it's going to kind of defeat the whole purpose of what they were trying to do at scale. And it's the same liability somebody takes letting people into their home, but we do that because we A, are making a profit, and then B, you know, like to share our home and things like that too. So I'm hoping for them to make that change, but it's great advice. I didn't know it was that simple. I was looking into some things. It seemed like you had to go through a few hoops to do it, but it seems like maybe just a simple phone call can kind of change it for you.
Well, this is why I reached out to you, because I think that not a lot of people are talking about this. And the only way that Airbnb will do something about this, if there is a mini revolt amongst its hosts. This is why, like I came to the thing that I said at the start of the show, is that I truly believe I've drawn their line in the sand here. And there's 2.1 million hosts on Airbnb that are under 20 properties on the platform. I think there's like 7 million in total, some rough maths around there. So a large majority of them are under that 20 property mark. And then even 85% of them are in that 1 to 5 property mark as well. So there truly is the key demographic. If you are a businessman and you're looking at the 80-20 split, so what 20% of our audience are bringing 80% of the profits and revenue coming in, they are looking at that one host, that hobbyist host. And, you know, there's going to be more coming this year. This is definitely just the start, where they're going to be adding in more products and services to people who haven't, say, got a PMS, who haven't, say, got, you know, dynamic pricing set up, who haven't maybe got a digital guidebook, etc. So any professional host, and I class a professional host as somebody that has got a channel manager, a PMS, you know, that is somebody that is actually looking to do this as part of their main revenue generator. And then there's the professional operators. They're the ones that have got over 100 properties. You know, they've got plenty of team members. This is like a big operation. And you've got the hobbyist host. The hobbyist host is, like I said, who's got one property. They might be giving it to a property manager. They maybe have just got it because it's like a spare property that they have, and they've just homed it for family and they put it out on Airbnb for the rest of the year. This is who they're going after. For operators like us and the people that are listening to this, we need to be doing something about this now. And this is why it's truly important. So the first thing, like, I want to just, this is why I came on to say, listen, opt out. But there's a really cool thing that you can do now where you can actually get the benefit, get the rub of the green, and actually get some money out of it as well.
Hit us with it. I know you hit me with that cliffhanger on purpose, so go ahead, have at it.
The cool thing is that Airbnb have spent over basically hundreds of $1 million in this launch. And they wouldn't have done this launch if they didn't see the data. And I feel like Airbnb have got some of the best data that there is out there in the hospitality industry. They wouldn't have sunk so much money into experiences. They wouldn't have sunk so much money into services if they didn't feel like this was going to be a hit. So Airbnb have just done the market research for you as a host to say, this is a new category. This is something that people are wanting. And I know there's going to be hosts, we're pretty much going to split everybody down the line here. Those that are already offering services, but they just called it something completely different, and those that aren't. Those that aren't, you've literally now got a new category that you can just create. You can call it your own services, and you can start offering it in-house. And the cool thing about this is that, number one, you know there's a need. Number two, you get to vet everybody that is coming into your property. Number three, you get to make money out of it as well. So you can go and sort of walk through all of like the liability and all of those things. You can chat to your insurer. You can do all of those things. You can reach out to a photographer, a chef, or whoever, a personal trainer, and you can start to make the contacts and bring them in, but you can get all the benefit from it. I've been talking about this for the last few weeks. And again, whenever I've spoken about this, let's say I've had 10 people in a room or 100 people in a room, it literally is split down the middle. People saying, yep, I'm already doing this, or people saying, no, I'm not. And the cool thing is that there are some really cheap or even free tools available to help you all get started. So for example, Touch Day is a digital guidebook that you can set up. You can pretty much run it now with AI. It plugs into all of your PMSs that you all have. And in that digital guidebook, you can offer services and upsells. So people have been calling it upsells. You can now just call it services. And again, you can go and reach out to a private chef nearby. You can go reach out to a yoga trainer, a personal trainer, a hairdresser, a photo shoot. These are literally, Airbnb have done that research for you. And there's also as well companies like the Host Co, HOSTCO. They've got literally an online store that is free to get started with, and it just sits on your direct booking website, or it just sits in the back end, and literally a guest can go in and add that service. There's also companies like Happy Guest Official, so Happy Guest Official, and even your PMSs now are building this into their product because there is a need for it. And again, I think the best thing that you could do right now, if you haven't started doing this yet, would be to look at the type of guest that you are getting in. So I talk about it a lot. We spoke about it in the last one with the avatar, with your ideal guest. So look at like the guests that are coming to stay with you and try and go back on the messages. So look at the messages and then do your own 80-20 analysis. So what 20% of requests are coming in from your guests 80% of the time? So let's just say people are asking for a private chef, for example, or people are asking for maybe a tour guide, or people are asking for whatever it may be. That's a great starting point on where to go. And then the final thing I would say on this is that if you are struggling, you don't know where to reach, where to start. Well, again, Airbnb have done the research. Go on Airbnb, look at services, look at who is in your area when it's in your area, and look at who is on there already. I did this as like a little example on a video to show how easy it was. I went into Manchester, big city here in the United Kingdom, searched for a personal trainer, found a personal trainer. And the cool thing is, with services, it is much easier to find their Instagram handle or their own personal website because the name fitness trainer Manchester. So I just got, her name was Jenna, fitness trainer Manchester, boom. First page of Google was her Instagram, was her website. I messaged her directly on Instagram and just said, hey, I've got Airbnbs in Manchester. I saw you're part of the services program. Fantastic. We have so many guests that book on our platform that's not just Airbnb, booking.com, Verbo, direct. And we would love to offer your services to those guests who don't just book on Airbnb. We only charge a 15% commission. Bearing in mind, remember, Airbnb are charging them 20% commission. So we only charge you a 15% commission. I'd love to have you as my exclusive, my preferred personal trainer. Would you be having that conversation? Simple DM, call DM, pick up the phone, had a chat, and she's in. Like literally, that's gone from me knowing nobody to having somebody on the books within 10 minutes.
I've done something similar for a long time. I called it packages, so it's a little bit different. But, you know, there's been many times, and I've told this story a few times, where I had somebody pay about $300 to stay one night in one of my properties. I had a massage therapist that was vetted with insurance. I knew a hibachi chef that was vetted with insurance, and they would come out and do that. We sold our own romantic packages, balloons, rose petals, all that. We did 10% between me and the vendors, but it's all negotiable. And I had somebody pay $300 for a stay, and they booked every single package we had. And I think that added on a total of like $1,300. So their one night stay went from $300 to $1,600. I profited about 10% for some of that. And then my own personal packages, we make a 50% margin on. And these are all things you can implement very easily and vet people through Instagram. And the main thing is just make sure they have a reputation and they have some form of insurance to cover their own, you know, ability to travel and things like that too. You pointed out a lot of good things.
That's another really good point as well with services that people don't realize is that, let's just say you keep opted in to Airbnb services. You don't opt out, you don't build your own. You just go, oh, you know what, I'm going to let Airbnb sort this. Let's just say that you have a guest come to stay for 3 nights. They use Airbnb services to book a personal masseuse. But let's just say that masseuse is awful. Like they burn the guest. They have such an awful experience. Whether you like it or not, that experience, because it's landed on your property and during their stay, that will have a negative effect on the review that they leave you at the end of the stay. Whether you like it or not, whether you think that it's totally separate to you or not, that will have a negative ramification. I've had a guest leave a bad review because it rained the whole time when they stayed at us, right?
I've had one too.
We all know what our guests are like, right? They don't think like you or I. So don't be naive to think that the Airbnb services, the personal trainer, whatever, if they have a bad experience, they will have a bad ramification on you. So this is why I'm saying until they make it worth your while for you to have that risk, whether it be in monetary or whatever that may be, you need to opt out. And if you want to get their attention, you need to opt out in your drones, not just one person. We need everybody that is listening this to go and do it. And like I said, it's super simple. Log into the back end of your Airbnb, call support, message support, put it on your house rules. And if you want a breakdown of the wording on Instagram, Boostly UK, BOOSTOR UK, just send me a little message. I'm more than happy to give you the exact script that we've been using with Team Boostly members and at Boostly.
We're filming this in the end of May 2025, so things may rapidly change with this as well too. So just make sure to, you know, if you're watching this in a few months in advance and things might have shifted, like do some research and don't be afraid to reach out to your customer support rep at Airbnb. They'll be able to at least give you the guidance on what has changed. And I have a strong, you know, faith that they're going to be able to kind of, you know, work some of the kinks out and a few of the things too, like you mentioned with the reviews and making sure that the host is even compensated for the extra things they're even dealing with on this type of situation. Do you have any other last bit of advice for the viewers out there or anything that they can pay attention to going forward?
Honestly, if you've been offering the way you've described it, upsells packages, you've now got the wording to use, services. So you can just start building out your own services. And the thing that what I would say to everybody is that when Airbnb brought out their own pricing, their own dynamic pricing, nobody touched it because you all knew how crazy it was and how it just didn't work. So that's why you use Price Labs and these things. This is exactly the same. Do not go near it. Turn it off. Make sure that you're not opted into it. And it's totally separate from experiences. Experiences is fine. That is something completely else. That's them going after other verticals. But this is directly impacting you and this will have a negative effect. Do not sit on your hands on this. And yeah, hopefully if you're watching this in August 2025, and it's changed, that means we've done our job. That means that I've been able to get on enough podcasts, I've been able to get in enough Facebook groups and Bigger Pockets forums and Reddit to kick up a fuss on this, to sort of let you know. And this is literally why we do what we do, to make sure that hosts have that control in their business. Because if not, you know, like I say, my worry is that this industry is going down the route of where we let Airbnb become the Amazon of e-commerce. And if that happens, then we're screwed.
Yeah, no, so hopefully that is not the path that we end up going down. But Mark, it was a pleasure as always to chat about it. Anytime major updates come on, you're always welcome to come chat with me. You seem to have it studied out a little more quickly than others. So I appreciate the detailed insight, and we'll put your contact information in the description for anyone that wants to reach out. And then we look forward to seeing everybody on the next episode.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
I appreciate you making it all the way to the end of the video. If you haven't checked out baselane.com/BP yet to get your $100 bonus when you sign up and fund your account, you can do that by checking the description below. They are the leading banking, bookkeeping, and accounting platform out there for real estate investors. So do yourself a favor and check out the link below. We'll see y'all in the next video. I think YouTube wants you to watch one of these ones right here.